Atlanta's known for drama, but nothing prepared the city for the scandal that rocked reality TV star Quad Webb's world. The married-to-medicine personality, famous for her outspoken nature and bold fashion choices, suddenly found herself entangled in a real-life crime saga that went way beyond typical reality show mess. It all exploded when news broke that Quad's boyfriend had been convicted of participating in a luxury car theft ring. This wasn't some petty crime. We're talking about a sophisticated operation targeting high-end vehicles, including a Rolls-Royce Phantom valued at over $300,000. 0 cents. The headlines hit like a tsunami. How could someone so prominent, so in the public eye, be connected to something so shady? The man at the center of it all was Cedric Johnson. Not exactly a household name to most Atlantans, but in certain elite circles, Cedric was well established. Always impeccably dressed, charming as hell, and a fixture at VIP events around the city, he projected an image of success and sophistication that fooled nearly everyone. Including Quad. What made the case so shocking was how Cedric had apparently been living a complete double life. On one hand, he was dating a reality star, smiling for cameras, accompanying Quad to events, and seeming every bit the successful entrepreneur. On the other, according to investigators, he was deeply involved in a criminal enterprise that had stolen multiple luxury vehicles, including Bentleys and Porsches, worth millions collectively. Investigators believed this wasn't some accidental involvement or a one-time mistake. They claimed Cedric knew exactly what he was doing and even had inside help from dealership employees. The operation was sophisticated, altered VIN numbers, forged documents, fake IDs. This was professional-level crime. As news spread, the questions about Quad became inevitable. She had been with Cedric for months, mentioned him in interviews, been photographed with him at events. He was a significant part of her life, not just some casual fling. So naturally, people wondered, was she somehow involved? Did she know what her man was up to? And if she didn't, how could she have missed something so massive happening right under her nose? The situation grew darker when sources close to the investigation revealed that Cedric had allegedly used Quad's name to build credibility in certain circles. He reportedly dropped her name in conversations with people who were helping move stolen vehicles, potentially using her celebrity status as a smokescreen for his illegal activities. This revelation shifted. Maybe Quad wasn't complicit. Maybe she was another victim in Cedric's web of deception. Maybe her name and reputation were being exploited without her knowledge. When police finally arrested Cedric and started piecing everything together, they concluded that Quad had no involvement. According to her team, she was completely blindsided by the revelation, fully cooperated with investigators, and was just as shocked as everyone else when the truth came out. But the media wasn't exactly gentle. They plastered her face alongside damning headlines that made it seem like she was driving the getaway car herself. Public opinion fractured. Some fans defended her vigorously, while others called for her cancellation. Gossip blogs had a field day speculating about what she might have known. The courtroom scenes were intense. Reporters packed every available space, cameras lined up outside, and tension hung heavy in the air. Cedric maintained a composed exterior during proceedings, but cracks in his facade were beginning to show as prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence of his involvement in the theft ring that had been operating for over a year, possibly longer. Surveillance footage shown in court captured Cedric at a dealership after hours, confidently using a key fob that didn't belong to him. The evidence sent shockwaves through the courtroom, but even as the case against Cedric solidified, everyone still wondered about Quad. How could someone so savvy, so sharp, have been completely in the dark about her boyfriend's criminal activities? Social media turned into a battleground over Quad's involvement. Her defenders pointed out that she was a successful businesswoman who shouldn't be held responsible for a man's criminal activities. Critics weren't as forgiving, spreading rumors that she might have funded some of Cedric's operations or that her celebrity status helped him blend into high society circles where he could scout potential targets. People started digging into her past, looking for anything they could twist into evidence of her complicity. Quad initially remained silent, perhaps hoping the storm would pass. But her silence only fueled speculation, with blogs inventing stories and influencers offering uninformed opinions that only amplify the noise. When Quad finally broke her silence, the internet momentarily paused. In an emotional but pointed statement, she expressed feeling betrayed, humiliated, and furious. She explained how she had supported Cedric in good faith, introduced him to people in her network, and now felt used and manipulated. She categorically denied any knowledge or involvement in his criminal activities. By then, though, damage had already been done. Some brand partnerships quietly disappeared, career opportunities evaporated, and the upcoming reunion episode of Married to Medicine became one of the most anticipated in the show's history, with viewers dying to see if someone would bring up the scandal on air. And of course, they did. During what should have been routine reality TV drama, one of her castmates delivered a cutting remark about Quad's taste in men. Her face changed instantly. She fired back with her signature confidence, but the pain in her eyes revealed this wasn't just typical reality show conflict. This was real trauma playing out on camera. What viewers didn't see was how Quad had started noticing strange inconsistencies before everything blew up. Looking back, red flags had been everywhere. Cedric disappearing for hours one night, claiming he was closing a business deal, only to return with an expensive new watch and vague explanation. Or the time he insisted on paying thousands in cash for a relatively small purchase, brushing it off as just how he does business. At the time, these oddities hadn't seemed significant. Now they flashed in her memory like warning signs she'd ignored or rationalized away. As the trial approached its conclusion, prosecutors had connected Cedric to more than 10 stolen luxury vehicles valued at over $2 million. 0 cents. Every new detail brought more questions, more drama, and more damage to Quad's reputation and peace of mind. When Judgment Day arrived, the courtroom fell silent as the jury returned. Cedric stood tall in a crisp suit, jaw clenched, but his eyes betrayed his anxiety. Quad deliberately avoided attending that day. She'd told her team she didn't want to be seen crying over a criminal, but the truth was she couldn't bear watching it all fall apart in public. The verdict came down like a hammer. Guilty on all counts. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Cedric barely reacted visibly, but his hands curled into tight fists at his sides as he learned he would spend the next 18 years in federal prison. For Cedric, it was over. For Quad, the nightmare was just beginning. Even though no court ever linked her to his crimes, public opinion operated by different rules. She noticed side eyes at industry events, whispers that stopped when she approached, and fair-weather friends suddenly becoming distant. One of her brand partnerships sent a diplomatically worded email announcing they were reassessing current partnerships due to recent controversy. Her name began trending for all the wrong reasons: memes, gossip, even cruel parody videos on TikTok. The public humiliation seemed endless. What nobody knew was that Cedric had reached out from jail through his lawyer with a message. "Tell her I didn't mean for it to go this far. I still love her." At first, she laughed bitterly at the word love after all his deception, but the message lingered in her mind. Why reach out now? What was he trying to tell her? Then came the twist that changed everything. A mysterious envelope appeared at her doorstep. No name, no return address. Inside was a USB drive and a cryptic note with just 5 words. "You don't know everything yet." With shaking hands, Quad plugged the USB drive into her laptop, half expecting a virus. Instead, she found dozens of secret recordings, audio files, videos, and emails documenting Cedric's hidden life. It was like uncovering a diary of his criminal activities, but what she heard made her blood run cold. In one recording, Cedric argued fiercely with someone, shouting, "I told you not to touch her, she's off limits." In another, he whispered frantically, "They're watching me. If anything happens, tell Quad the truth." Her heart raced as she clicked through file after file, discovering names she didn't recognize, addresses she'd never been to, and deals she knew nothing about. The revelation hit her like a truck. Cedric wasn't the mastermind. He was just one piece of something much larger and more dangerous. It seemed he had deliberately kept her in the dark, potentially even protected her from people far worse than himself. But why? Out of guilt? Love? Or something else entirely? Unable to sleep that night, Quad decided she needed answers from the source. The next morning, she arranged a visit to the prison where Cedric was being held. Sitting in the cold visitor's room, staring through thick glass, she watched as guards brought him in, thinner now, his face harder, but his eyes still held that same intensity. He picked up the phone before she could speak. "You saw it?" he said simply. "I did, and I have questions." Leaning closer, he whispered, "I couldn't tell you before. They had ears everywhere, phones, cars, even your assistant." My Quad blinked in shock. Cedric nodded. "She wasn't just working for you. I found out too late." Her mind reeled. Who were they? Cedric looked around cautiously before explaining that he wasn't dealing with an ordinary gang or company, but a network that controlled politicians, judges, even CEOs. He was small-time, but they recruited him for his skills, giving him money, access, and power. When he tried to walk away, they threatened to go after Quad. "You were the only thing they could use to keep me in line," he admitted. "I stayed because of you, and when I got caught, I kept quiet, because if I talked, you'd be next." Tears welled in her eyes, but she fought them back. "Why the drive then?" "I needed you to know the truth. You can't trust anyone now, Quad. Not in your circle, not even your family. That drive has enough to crack everything open, but only if you're careful." She left the prison with more questions than answers, her entire reality shaken. If what Cedric said was true, she was being watched right now. Taking no chances, she made copies of the drive, hiding one in a hotel locker, another in a safety deposit box under a fake name, and mailing a third anonymously to a journalist who had once tried to expose Cedric's activities. That night, someone broke into her home. They took nothing valuable, no jewelry, no cash, just her laptop. No forced entry, no mess. That's when she knew this was real. A week later, headlines exploded. Whistleblower drops explosive evidence on nationwide criminal network. The files had gone public. Names were being named, raids were happening across multiple cities, and people she had once rubbed shoulders with at Atlanta events were suddenly disappearing from public view. Cedric was quietly transferred to another facility for his protection. The network was cracking, and Quad had inadvertently caused it. But even in this strange victory, she couldn't relax, because with every secret exposed, new questions emerged. And somewhere in the shadows, someone was still watching her, calculating their next move. For Quad, this wasn't just about clearing her name anymore. It was about survival. The reality TV star who had built her brand on being bold and outspoken now found herself in a real-life thriller where the stakes were life and death. The cameras might not be rolling for this part of her story, but it was by far the most important role she'd ever play. In Atlanta, a city built on image and perception, Quad had discovered the most dangerous truth of all. Reality was nothing like it seemed, and her fight was just beginning.